Coming up today, Russia, China and Laos. President Park Geun-hye will be racking up the air miles early next month as she's scheduled to attend various international forums, including the G20 summit. More details emerge about the North Korean diplomat who deserted his embassy post in the UK to defect to South Korea. First, Korea strikes gold on day 12 of the 2016 Olympics in Rio. Kim So-hui wins the nation's first Taekwondo gold medal in the women's 49-kilogram category. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Thursday, the 18th of August. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this afternoon, we have new details on President Park Geun-hye's schedule next month when she is slated to engage in a range of multilateral summits. Now, we previously reported that she will be visiting Vladivostok in Russia for the Eastern Economic Forum on September 2nd and 3rd, but that will just be her first stop. President Park will then take off to Hangzhou, China for the G20 summit, where world leaders will gather to discuss ways to make a more innovative and inclusive global economy. She will then attend the ASEAN +3 summit that includes Korea, China and Japan, in addition to the Southeast Asian countries. That will be held in the Laotian capital of Vientiane on September 7th and 8th. Over the following days, she will continue her official visit to Laos with a summit focused on revving up the bilateral partnership and boosting trade. During her time away, President Park will also likely call for global cooperation in reining in North Korea's threats while seeking understanding for Seoul and Washington's decision to deploy the US missile defense system THAAD against those threats. Now, the North Korean diplomat who deserted his post in London and is now in South Korea is not only the highest-ranking diplomat to leave the regime, he's also a member of the upper class. His elite status has made his defection all the more shocking. Connie Kim reports.
The defection of Tae-hun, North Korea's deputy ambassador to the UK with his family, has raised eyebrows. Not only is he the highest-ranking North Korean diplomat to seek asylum in the South, he's also a member of North Korea's upper class, which makes his flight even more rare. A source well acquainted with North Korea said Thursday Tae's father, Tae Byung-yeol, was one of the people who engaged in anti-Japanese activities during the Kim Il-sung era. He was also a member of the North Korean Workers' Party Central Committee, and his brother is the president of Kim Il-sung University. When Tae was in high school, he was reportedly sent to China to study Chinese and English. Tae's wife, Oh Hae-sun, is reportedly also a member of North Korea's elite. Her father, Oh Baek-young, was said to have engaged in anti-Japanese activities, and her two brothers are government and military officials. Tae was scheduled to return to Pyongyang this summer, but sources say he may have fled due to fears he would be questioned over the UK's criticism of North Korea's human rights abuses, as well as a desire for his son to be educated outside of North Korea. Seoul's Unification Ministry confirmed Tae's defection Wednesday, saying his defection was motivated in part by his disillusionment with the Kim Jong-un regime. The ministry also said the case reflects the growing instability in the regime. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Now, staying with North Korea, and South Korea is mulling its next step after the reclusive regime told a Japanese news agency that it has resumed the production of weapons-grade plutonium. An official says Seoul is ready to take strong countermeasures and seek support from the international community. So-hui reports.
A clear violation of UN Security Council resolutions on North Korea is how an official from Seoul's foreign ministry has described new details about the regime's nuclear weapons development. Tokyo-based Kyodo News Agency reported Wednesday that the North's Atomic Energy Institute, in a rare written interview reply, confirmed it's producing plutonium, the key ingredient to making nuclear weapons. The institute also said Pyongyang has no plans to halt its nuclear tests as long as it feels threatened by the United States and its nuclear arsenal. The institute added it's been producing highly enriched uranium for nuclear power and weapons as planned, and that it's able to make its nuclear arms lighter, smaller, and more diverse. It also renewed its claims of having a hydrogen bomb. According to the South Korean official, if the claims are true, Seoul will closely discuss countermeasures with related countries and international agencies, as any activity related to North Korea's nuclear program goes against the tough international sanctions on Pyongyang. North Korea's intent to resume production of weapons-grade plutonium is nothing new, but this is the first time since it vowed to restart its Yongbyon nuclear reactor in 2013 that Pyongyang has officially confirmed reprocessing is taking place. The International Atomic Energy Agency said in June that North Korea appears to have started to reprocess plutonium at the complex's 5-megawatt reactor. Pyongyang conducted its 4th nuclear test in January this year. Kwon So-hui, Arirang News.
Now, during the summer months, many of us look forward to some sun and warmth, but there becomes a point where most of us have had enough. And that could be said for people in Korea right now. The prolonged and record-busting heat wave is still here, with the high in Seoul forecast to hit a scorching 34 degrees Celsius today. It will be even hotter down south, with the mercury reaching 35 degrees Celsius in Gwangju. Now, some parts of Korea's central and southern regions will see sporadic showers with strong winds, thunder, and lightning later today. We should have some respite from the heat soon, though, as forecasters say temperatures will start to cool off gradually from Sunday. Now, as the sweltering heat continues and our air conditioning buzzes day and night, many of us here in Korea may be quite worried about how much this month's electricity bill is going to come to. So, to ease financial burden on citizens, the government and the ruling Saenuri Party have launched a 15-member task force to reform Korea's decades-old electricity rate system. Meeting this morning, the two sides agreed to talk on a monthly basis to craft a reasonable solution to enhancing the current billing scheme by the end of this year. The team plans to study pricing schemes in other countries, especially those with similar electricity usage conditions like Japan. They'll also hold public hearings over how to overhaul the billing system. Now, as part of efforts to curtail consumption, Korea currently uses a progressive billing system for households, which charges higher rates as more energy is used. However, the system is not applied to industries, which account for over half of the country's energy consumption. Samsung Electronics' share price hit a new intraday high of over $1,433 a share in early trading on this Thursday. This was after the tech giant reported its best quarterly profit in over 2 years in late July, propelled by strong sales of its flagship Galaxy S7 smartphones. Industry insiders predict Samsung Electronics will post an operating profit of more than $27 billion this year, topping the 30 trillion won mark for the second time. The target price from a survey of analysts for Samsung Electronics shares currently stands at just over $1,600. Now, staying with economic news, and Korean venture firms are doing relatively well, selling their products and services to overseas markets. By comparison, the country's overall outbound shipments have been sagging due to the global economic slowdown. Kim Min-ji reports.
Despite Korea's exports falling for a record 19 straight months, the country's venture companies are offering a glint of light. According to the Korea International Trade Association, exports by venture companies came to nearly $10 billion as of the end of July this year, up 0.8% from a year ago. In July alone, exports rose 1.7% on year, marking the third straight monthly rise. That's in stark contrast to the country's overall exports that have posted sharp declines. In fact, venture companies' exports have outpaced those of all firms combined in recent years. In 2014, outbound shipments by startups rose 9.5%, while those of all companies edged up just 2.3%. Last year, venture firms saw their exports jump 2.5%, while overall companies saw their exports decline 8%. The rise in exports of startups was attributed to increased shipments to the United States and Vietnam. Outbound shipments to the U.S. rose 5% thanks to a general economic pickup there, while exports to Vietnam jumped 11% as many Korean companies have their production bases located in the Southeast Asian country. Exports to Japan also soared 16.5%. The gains were led by key products such as semiconductors and mobile communication devices, which rose 7.6% and 23% respectively. Kim Sei-young, Arirang News.
Now it's emerged that policymakers at the US Federal Reserve remain at odds over the timing of an interest rate hike. The minutes of the Fed's July policy meeting, released on Wednesday local time, show some policymakers believe a rate increase will be needed soon, although there's general agreement that more data is needed before such a move is taken. Some members anticipate that economic conditions would soon warrant taking another step in removing policy accommodation. The minutes showed members of the rate-setting Federal Open Market Committee were generally upbeat about the US economic outlook and labour market, but several said a slowdown in the future pace of hiring would erode the chances of a near-term hike. Now let's get our daily update from the 2016 Olympics in Rio. After a bad couple of days with loss after loss, Korea finally added 2 medals from the country's traditional martial art, Taekwondo, on day 12 of the Games. We have our Eun-shin with us. Eun-shin, Korea's medal drought is finally over.
That's right. Seems like Korea was longing for another medal for some time now, but the wait finally came to an end on Wednesday. The biggest thrill of the day, without a doubt, was Kim So-hui's gold in women's Taekwondo. In the final match in the 49-kilo category, the two-time world champion took on Tatjana Bogdanovic of Serbia. In one of her signature moves, Kim scored 3 points in the second round with an impressive turning kick to the head. But it was a nail-biting match to the very end. With just 10 seconds left on the clock, the Serbian was given a point due to the accumulated warnings given to Kim, making the score 7-6. But Kim held out in the dying seconds to win Korea's 7th gold of these Olympics. After the victory, the 22-year-old said that, more than anything, she was happy to keep the promise she made to her parents, that the decoration she was going to deliver home was going to be a golden one. Team Korea added another medal in the field from the men's side. Two-time world champion Kim Tae-hun just won a bronze in the men's 58-kilo category. To the surprise of many, Kim got knocked out in the round of 16, 12-10 by his Thai opponent earlier in the day. But proving his resilience, which also happens to be an important principle of the martial art, he came back stronger and in the repechage, which allowed him to move on in the competition even though he had come in just below the qualifying score, beating ex-Mexico's Carlos Navarro 7-5. There was more excitement for Team Korea as Wednesday saw the return of women's golf to the Olympics after more than a century. And the timing couldn't be better for Korea as the nation sent 4 of the top 10 female golfers in the world to Rio. Opening with a 5-under par 66, world number 5 Park Inbee is second on the leaderboard with number 6 Kim Sei-young, only 1 shot behind the leader from Thailand. Though the other 2 female golfers from Korea are way down the field at the moment, there are high hopes the nation can scoop at least a couple of medals. But here are the couple of players to keep an eye on. Korean-born New Zealander Lydia Ko, the number 1 ranked player in the world, is not in the top 10 at the moment, but given her supreme talent, she will pose a threat. And world number 4 Lexi Thompson of the US is still in contention, sitting in 7th place after the first round. With some of the best players still in the mix and 3 more rounds to go, the Korean players know they'll need to continue bringing their A game to get on the medal podium. Wednesday was also a great day for the host nation in men's football. Brazil may have started the tournament slowly, but they cruised past Honduras 6-0 in the semis, sealing their spot in the final. Brazil's star player Neymar got the ball rolling early, scoring the fastest goal in Olympic history after just 14 seconds. In the other semi-final, Germany beat Nigeria 2-0. And with that, Brazil and Germany are set to play for the gold medal in Sao Paulo on Saturday. And finally, moving on to athletics, Kenya maintained its iron grip on the men's 3,000-meter steeplechase, setting an Olympic record in the process. 21-year-old Conseslus Kipruto came home to claim gold in a time of 8 minutes and 3.28 seconds. Being way ahead of his competitors, Kipruto actually started celebrating early by waving to the crowd at the start of the final straight. With the triumph, Kenya has now won every 3,000-meter steeplechase since 1968, having boycotted the 76 and 80 Olympics for political reasons. That's all from Wednesday, and here's the event schedule for Thursday.
Well, that's all we have for now. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you as always for tuning in. We'll be back with more newscasts throughout the day. Our next scheduled bulletin coming up at 3 p.m. Korea time. So until then, goodbye.